Hello, Panto fans, and welcome to another Pantosplaining with me, Ben Baker.
And me, John Matthews.
And if you've not joined us before, there's still plenty of time. You can go back. Apparently, these things stay on the internet now. You can look at them at different times. You should, because they're good.
We're getting quite a back catalogue of Panto Poster investigations, which you can find at linktree/Pantosplaining, or just search Pantosplaining wherever you find your podcasts.
Just type Pantosplaining. If there's any other idiot who's used it like us, then I'll be very surprised.
Don't overthink it. Go to YouTube. That's probably where you are right now, to be honest, watching this.
Well, I mean, someone did say that they wanted the audio feed for it, and it's like that. You can enjoy this show in audio form only, but it's a video podcast, really. We want people to see it. John does marvellous work on the editing, and I spend far, far too long going through the newspaper archives for what can only be described as tut and wonder.
He's got inky fingers, ladies and gentlemen, inky fingers, and your help will help buy the soap that washes that ink off Ben's fingers.
I was going to make a joke about Pac-Man, but I think we'll just move swiftly on to this week's poster. Ooh, I mean, tick, 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 tick. So many boxes ticked there for what we look for a good poster. No drawings this time. You know, we are in the 90s. It's actually December 98 to January 99, this run, originally. And it's Red Riding Hood from the Forum Theatre, Billingham. Excuse me, madam, could you show me the way to Billingham?
Forum Theatre, Billingham is interesting because it has a great place in showbiz history. It was from the Forum Theatre, Billingham that Terry Scott was driving in March 1974 when he drove off a bridge.
But, sorry?
Indeed, he was appearing in A Bed Full of Foreigners, which sounds marvellous, I'm sure you agree, and was driving to his digs in Middlesbrough and drove over the Tees Transporter Bridge, which is kind of a unique bridge. Sort of, you get on a gondola and then it carries the cars across the river and then goes back again. He arrived, the gondola was out, or the bridge was shut or something. He didn't realise I'm doing the glug-glug drinking motion and went straight off the side of the road into some safety netting that was placed below.
Oh,
Terry, pictured left at the scene, nursed a sore head and said, "It wasn't very funny at the time. The car plunged vertically into the netting. I saw all this water swirling around below and I just couldn't believe my eyes. I just sat there and wondered how anyone could take a bridge away."
Anyone can take a bridge. Sorry.
Rather gamely, he went back the following day for the pictures for the papers, you know, where he clutched his head and looked, oh!
I have seen that picture of him on a bridge and I didn't know what the context was, but it appears in Blue Sky an awful lot.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why. I see.
We rarely discuss the actual theatres that these Panto posters take place in, but we have found some interesting information about this one.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't. We found a story about a man that not a lot of people like falling off a bridge.
Oh, yeah. We can't endorse his personal views.
No, but he did play Sun City, and that's the important part. The first thing I think of when I look at this is that classic team-up, Keith Harris, Orville and Grotbags. You know, they were always working together. And, no, of course not. It's normally Grotbags with Rod Hull, and we'll come back to that aspect later. Although this ended, it's January 99, the last year of Rod's life. So there's always a tinge of sadness with these. Although then again, most of the other ones are dead as well. So
it's as posters go, it's not the greatest.
No.
I mean, technically wise, they've cut out heads with some rusty scissors, except in the case of Keith Harris and his furry friends, where they obviously deemed it too difficult to cut around the fur.
You'd background remove for that in Canva.
yeah.
But I'd like to start, if we may, from the top, which is before even the actual stars, which says, "From Duggie Chapman Associates, the producers of last year's award-winning production of Goldilocks." I could not find award it had won.
No?
But if you know, again, please do let us know on the Pantosplaining socials. And I would like to go back to Duggie Chapman.
Right, yes.
As it's such a specific spelling that I stuck that into the newspaper archive and I found a feast of stuff. I mean, one of his obituaries said he was variously dubbed the Godfather of Variety and Mr. Music Hall when he died in 2017 at the age of 81. He apparently left school at 15 to join a professional young singing group called the Four Blue Pages, which, again, sounds like a different kind of act. He apparently suited comedy and appeared in a variety of music hall shows, including some 100 BBC radio broadcasts and touring as far afield as Australia. With the 60s, he settled in Blackpool and became a successful producer and impresario, rubbing shoulders with top names such as Julie Andrews and Danny LaRue, and many more, too numerous to mention. Not my words, the words of the newspaper that I stole this from. I think it was a stage. He was a great promoter of pantomime, including seasonal shows throughout the UK. I love the idea of an impresario. It's a proper image, isn't it? You get a proper feel for what it is. And I want people to just take a second to just think about what Duggie Chapman might look like. And here it is. Now, if you said a first draft of Sir Bernard Chumley by Matt Lucas...
Thing is about Dougie, he seems to have a great life. He seems to be a fabulous man, and I don't want to make fun of him. But he does look like Matt Lucas in a bunch of prosthetics.
I do wonder if Bernard Chumley was based on him. He's got that sort of look, definitely. But yeah, I found all sorts of great stuff about him. He got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the British Music Hall Society. And, to come back to one of our earlier obsessions, was awarded Rat of the Year by the Grand Order of Water Rats.
Oh, brilliant.
And the same year, he was made an MBE for his services to light entertainment and charity work. So he seems like a good man. And I just wanted to bring him up at the beginning because it just seems like a fascinating life. Genuinely, like, in the biz from the start of his life to the very end.
Genuinely beloved by all and loving what he was doing in this sort of theatrical universe. It's a name that I recognised but couldn't picture until I searched for him. When I did search for him, I found something that said, and obviously this is one of our Pantosplaining diversions, he said he preferred performing to promoting, but his success as an impresario had earned him a Rolls Royce and a splendid house in Blackpool. And that's kind of a cliche, having a Rolls Royce and a splendid house in Blackpool, because everybody from Lenny Bennett to Jimmy Clitheroe and Bobby Ball and Keith Harris has done that. So I looked up celebrities who lived in Blackpool.
Oh, yes.
And I found myself on a Facebook page, a Facebook thread, where a correspondent listed famous people who lived in Blackpool. Sid Little, Les Dawson, Hilda Baker, Albert Pierpoint the Hangman, and Joe Longthorne.
All the entertainment stars then. I would like all them on just one Panto Poster.
A further correspondent sadly then wrote, the nearest Albert Pierpoint got to Blackpool was running the Rose and Crown in Preston. But however, Harry Allen was the former hangman who lived in Fleetwood. He passed away in 1992, aged 80.
Oh.
The thread continues with other people who lived in Blackpool. Mr. Pastry's mum lived on Bella Grove, as did Hank Marvin's cousin. I once saw Frank Carson stood outside Marks and Spencer's in Blackpool. And finally, a correspondent said, I once watched Roy Walker scrape dirt off the bottom of his shoes on a stack of customer baskets at the entry to Asda.
Well, you know what? If you can't get a book out of any of them, I don't know what is going on in society, ladies and gentlemen. And you say, obviously, people who lived in Blackpool, Keith Harris did indeed. We'll start now on Keith Harris and Orville. I'm doing air quotes there as if to say, if that's your real name.
So-called Orville.
Yeah.
That's how the BBC News would call him.
Are we Orville friendly here on Pantosplaining?
I have nothing against him.
It's a divisive character, but he didn't come around for quite a long time in Keith Shenton Harris's career. He'd been kicking around for yonks before Orville sent him stratospheric. Apparently from age 9, Harris appeared on his father Norman's knee as a dummy in a ventriloquist act. And naturally I was steeped in show business as a boy, says Keith. Nothing else interested me. My father introduced me to ventriloquy and gave me my first dummy, which I named Charlie Chat, for my 11th birthday. 2 weeks later, I was more or less pushed on stage to do my first show. Which, again, I feel there might be some trauma there.
Keith always seemed a little, there's more going on under the surface, wasn't there?
Oh, God, yeah.
His bitter later years.
This interview I found, it's like, almost immediately his dummy's mouth cord snapped, and the words were coming, but my lips weren't moving, and neither were the dummy's lips. That made the audience fall about, and I thought, oh, well, I'll make my own vent dolls from now, which I've been doing ever since. And he has about 200 in his parents' attic. This was in the 90s, obviously. I don't know if they're still there, but can you imagine going in the attic and there's just 200 Keith Harris creations?
Do you know what? I can imagine that because I've been in Phil Fletcher's attic where he owns a screen-worn Orville,
It's a screen worn Orville.
Yeah, screen used.
I mean, worn or used, neither word is good.
Which sits next to one he built himself. So you climb up into Phil's attic and you can see these two green creatures glowering at you as you enter. It is an unnerving thing. It's interesting that Orville is the main one then, but Cuddles seems to have the dominant position.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he goes further back. I mean, Keith apparently was in Panto originally in 1962. When he was 15, and it was on TV not that long after that. So he obviously had characters, but Cuddles was one of the first big ones.
I was looking back through basically the IMDb, I was trying to piece this together. Orville appeared with Keith in May 72 on the Saturday Variety, apparently. But Cuddles & Co., his first series, was 1973. So Cuddles was the first one that broke through into the mainstream. He was on Celebrity Squares with Cuddles in 1975, and that was when he hosted the last 3 seasons of the black and white minstrel show.
Moving on swiftly from that particular bit, it's impressive considering the early versions of Cuddles are absolutely horrific to look at.
Yeah.
I did have a little look at Cuddles & Co. I couldn't find any. I don't know if it's lost media, as the kids like to call it. But apparently, other characters included Dominic the dog, Daphne Dolphin, and a rabbit named Percy Pickletooth. Wither them all now.
Will you wake up? We're here.
You what?
I said, wake up, we're here.
Hold on, there's no this is shout, this song just sat in there on Tanandi on this is there. There's no this is shout, is there. Hang on. Hang on.
Will you please be quiet and have a look?
Have a look, yeah, right now, yeah, tonight, yeah, I will do. Go on, have a look, yes. Have a look, I thought I'd have oh no, go down.
Cast aside for the bird. Fair play, because apparently there was 400,000 copies of Orville's song sold in the early 80s. So it quickly worked out where the money was. And
I think the first series of the Keith Harris show was 82, wasn't it? So it was very soon after that started that the single came out, which apparently was a skit on Annie's song, Orville's song.
What?
It was a bit of a Mickey take of that.
Was it?
Apparently. That's what it says. And then it sat in the shelf for a while because Keith couldn't really find anyone who wanted to release it until, the Keith Harris show became big. So
Heaven forfend.
I wish I could see what folks see in me, but I can't.
You can.
I can't.
Look, Orville,
Yes?
now that I'm here with you, there's nothing that you can't do. So why don't you make a start?
talking to the black and white minstrel show, though.
No, I was trying not to talk about the black and white. That's why I carried on. I did not want to talk about the black and white minstrel show.
1978, it was still going. It was still going in 1978. I mean, even in 1962, there were complaints about it, people describing it as a disgrace and an insult. BBC's chief accountant described the series in an internal memo as a disgrace in 1962, and he raised the issue again in 1967. So 10 years later, it was still being broadcast.
It got into the 80s, didn't it? I believe.
No, Keith killed it off in 1978.
Oh, thank you, Keith. I'm so grateful for that. So, I mean, Lenny Henry was on it in the end. They tried to go, oh, look, we know one. You know, as if that would make it better for the rest of the content in it. It's fascinating. Hideous.
There's an interview in early 2002 that he did with Deborah Ross, and it's sort of a semi-hit job. He kind of an affectionate punch, really. But he addresses the Black and White Minstrel show in this interview, and he says he is genuinely perplexed at the way the world has changed. He says, I did 5, maybe 6 summer seasons with them, and we played to capacity 2 shows a night. Eddie Murphy whites up, so why can't white people black up?
Right, hang on. No, there is one specific SNL sketch called White Like Me where they whited Eddie up to see if he got treated any differently, and it's a very funny sketch. But it wasn't like his bit. That wasn't his thing that he did in every film.
It feels like Keith was not particularly racist, just a bit thick.
But also the idea that Keith and Eddie were very much on a level. You know, if Eddie Murphy had have had a talking green duck puppet, maybe things would have been different. Keith always comes across as basically earnest, very earnest, and that coupled with the quite cutesiness of Orville, which, because again, I've seen earlier stuff that he's done, his act he was doing for ages in the clubs and that, and the stuff with Cuddles is much ruder and much more sort of snarkier and snappier. It's really funny, and he is a great ventriloquist. Let's make that quite clear. He's very, very good.
He seems to really come to life when he's doing Cuddles.
Yeah.
That Orville became the breakout star and a bit sappy. He possibly resented that slightly.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, again, he got lots of TV programmes, and they were always the Keith Harris show. It wasn't the Keith Harris and Orville show or what have you. But, we all knew who was headlining the act. Let's just say that.
A string of singles as well on BBC Records and Tapes. I'd meant to get Tim's book out again to see what he had to say.
He's had enough promotion out of us. Go watch the last episode. You'll see us. But yeah, you should buy that book. It's very
The follow-up to Orville's song was called Will You Still Love Me in the Morning? This unusual sleeve I'm showing on screen now of Keith crouching over Orville's bed.
Oh, God. Who's asking who that?
I haven't listened to it, but I'll play in a clip now and see what happens.
I start to dim the light, 'cause the stars are shining bright, and I stumble on your toys upon the floor. And I turn around 'cause something caught my eye. My little boy was starting to cry. He said,
Will you still love me in the morning? Will you be there to cuddle me? Will you give me piggybacks and other things like that? And hold me when I try to climb the tree?
I assume arrests.
There's some of the singles later on, like Super Duck and Being Green, which seems to have a picture they took on a Snappy Snaps camera sitting by a lake. So the pop career continued, because people would put out pop records happily without them charting, in the knowledge that they'd sort of sell over a long period of time. So yeah, he's got quite a considerable discography.
Many of them written, of course, by Bobby Crush.
Yes, so Bobby Crush did a lot of them. So
did we discuss this in a previous episode that you were playing one of his songs?
It's a Keith Harris tribute. Yes, after Keith died, the Pound Shop Boys slipstreamed onto a bill at Viva in Blackpool of all the great acts of showbiz: Grumbleweeds, Crankies, Christopher Biggins, Hackerty Dog, and the Pound Shop Boys. And we performed our version of Come to My Party, his number 44 Christmas hit from the following year, in front of Bobby himself, who seemed to like it.
Good.
If you call around at 3:30, we can play a lot of games, then we could put some lights on the Christmas tree. Come to my party. There'll be ice cream and lemon.
There are a few things sort of like, they kept going, like, people go, oh, Keith Harris was big for a bit and then he dropped, but he wasn't really. Like, his TV shows kind of continued throughout most of the 80s, and he did eventually get shuffled off onto sort of kids' TV. He had the Quack Chat show, and also, do you remember they did a cartoon of Orville and Cuddles?
Yeah.
Which, much like the similarly timed Rod and Emu series, which was on ITV, just removed any actual point to the act. There was no puppetry. They just walked around free. It wasn't until sort of the early 90s that it sort of all came to an end, really. And then almost immediately Keith Harris became Punchline, kind of really, wasn't he?
It was always appearing on things, like he turned up on late night shows and Orville would say risque things, and he'd do the rude stuff at the students and stuff like that. So he transitioned into being the cult favourite that we all know and love. But
did you see what his late night show with Orville was called?
No.
Duck Off.
Okay.
And while we're on the late night subject, I with these I go down rabbit holes, and I'm so glad that I have a thing to actually talk about these, because otherwise it's just obsession. But I went down rabbit hole because apparently Keith opened a nightclub in the early 90s called Club L'Orange.
Yeah.
And it was open in Poulton. And it was basically apparently a premier night spot for the older clubber. And it ran from 94 and 99. I can find a lot of things which were like, when he announced it in the newspapers and lots of local people going, that's going to be a bit rubbish. And then when he sold it on, because he had lots of TV commitments. It's fascinating, because I try to find it on Google Maps. And it's like, well, this is just looks like a residential area. I mean, the address it's got looks like a hairdresser's, and as far as I can tell, that was it.
We'll if we track its exact location down, we'll get a screen grab of the Street View on screen now. So people can go and pay their respects and homage at the site of Keith Harris's Poulton nightclub.
Apparently, it was a laid-back jazz club to begin with Cherubs and Red Velvet. And he eventually managed to get a 2 a.m. licence, which set the pace for the evening economy of Poulton. As it seems to be hairdressers and possibly a mini-mart now. So if you were there again, we would love to hear from people. It sounds quite good, actually, a club for older people. You know, I assume, you know, just lots of seating, quiet music. That'll do us, won't it?
I'd like that.
It sounds great.
Keith behind the bar with, you know, Daphne Dolphin or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, it would be good if he had all the other old puppets. I don't want him in plastic cases or anything like that. That would be upsetting, but, you know, maybe like peeping out of portholes and stuff like that, like a Muppet Show kind of setup. I don't know. That's just the inner child in me who didn't like Orville. I loved Cuddles. I genuinely, as a kid, I always gravitated towards Cuddles. And indeed, when you think of the act, it's I Ate That Duck, which has really cut through.
Seeing as though Cuddles was the first one to come along and Orville took over what success should have been Cuddles', that catchphrase makes more sense now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, they're making those 4 Beatles films from everyone's perspective. They should do that, but one is Orville, one is Cuddles, and the other one is Dippy, the dinosaur, which no one remembers from the 80s programme. I think he had a punk skunk as well at one point. It was
that rings a bell.
Different times.
When you said that, I thought you were going to suggest that Cuddles played John Lennon or something like that.
Again, if the option's there, I'm just looking at him now.
Well,
round glasses on him.
It's reminded me of something when you look at that picture of Keith, Orville and Cuddles, how Keith moulded his puppets in his own image. The high forehead.
God, yeah.
Jowly cheeks. I've always thought that Keith looks a bit like Orville and Cuddles.
He does.
Yes.
I see it now, like the eyebrows and the eyes on Cuddles, definitely. Like the top half of Cuddles and the bottom half of Orville.
I'm pretty sure that when Keith had more hair, Cuddles had more hair as well. I'll dig out some archive photos and paste them in now to see if that is true.
It's weird because in this situation, normally we've got Grotbags next, and Grotbags normally worked with Rod, Hull and Emu, and it does feel like they've tried to mismatch them a little bit here, like going like, it's fine, they'll be all together, it's all right, but Grotbags as a character comes from the programmes of Rod, Hull and Emu when they moved to ITV, and her whole point was she was a witch who wanted to steal Emu because Emu had control over kids. I believe that was the kind of the
right? Is that the premise? I knew
that was the general gist.
I knew she wanted him. I didn't know if it was to eat him or not. I could never really work it out.
That might have happened as well, but that was the general idea. And I was curious if Orville had similar powers. If she, rather than like take over, everyone soiled themselves and needed a big nappy.
That could have been the plot of the Panto. That could well have been it. I can only assume Grotbags and Orville were on opposing moral sides in this pantomime, in the plot of the Panto.
Yes, and I would have been cheering all the way for Grotbags. Sorry, TV's Grotbags. Carol E. Scott. Once again, typecast. Carol E. Scott had an absolutely... She was very successful, but in a club way. She was huge in the clubs. And I found her back in the archives back to 1972. Although she actually released an album the year before that called Carol Scott and Friends at the Valley Club Charlton. She was an ex-Pontins Bluecoat as just Carol Waterman, and then Carol Scott. But fun fans might like to know that she added the Lee bit for equity. That's equity.
Marvellous. Marvellous.
In fact, I found a 1979 write-up. I found loads of things where she's like, say, this is going to be her year. She's going to break through this time. And I found a 1979 report which said she'd actually done 22 summer seasons at that point. So she started age 15. And you can't quite imagine. She always seems to be someone who looked middle-aged.
Yeah.
Even when she was. She's just got that kind of look about her. And have you ever heard any of her music?
Well, I did, because one of the songs, That Little Bit of Love, was reissued in the noughties on Licorice Soul Records, which was a label that reissued obscure British and European funk.
That little bit of love. 'Cause it's love, love, love that makes this world go round. Yes, it's love, love, love. And
He's funky. He's properly funky as a tune.
On her second album, In Time, we're on a holidays on the front, like one of Keith Harris and Orville.
I don't know if record collectors were sort of fighting over copies of it, because everything I've heard from it, genuinely very cool, very funky, good sound.
It's really good, and also the interesting thing I thought about it was it's recognisably her.
Yes,
you can recognise her voice in it. It sounds like Grotbags almost, despite being brilliant. So she's got a unique sound about her.
Yes, absolutely. I did play it on the radio years ago and said, "Guess who this is?" And people did, because it's got that character in there, definitely. Yeah. And she did sing, of course, on the TV programmes, which started out with Emu's World, where she was 40 when she first began there, which, again, you wouldn't know either way, because she's got a green face and this big, silly, green, curly wig and everything. It looks proper cheap, doesn't it?
It's a good gimmick. Rod Hull knew the value of a simple gimmick, a good hook, don't overcomplicate the characters.
Yes.
Grotbags is green, she's got a loud voice, she calls all the kids brats, and she twats that crocodile over the head with a bazazza or whatever it is. The sole purpose being to kidnap Emu, as you said, because he rules all children, because I thought she wanted some dinner.
There wasn't been easy ways. I mean, she could have ate the croc, to be fair. Yeah. Oh, Mrs. Grotbags. That was the impression of Croc.
It was good. It was a very good impression, listeners. I'll see if I can dig out a clip that's got the Croc in, and also the other subordinate character of Grotbags, which was the gay robot.
Kids with their awful noise and their rock and roll. Be like we were, perfect in every way. What's the matter with kids today?
This is Robot Redford, which all the kids appreciated that gag, I'm quite sure. But yes, it started with Emu's World in 81, because Rod Hull had been on the BBC and done these kind of Emu's Broadcasting Company shows, which I've not seen much of, but apparently they were a little bit more, not satirical, but maybe a bit sort of more family oriented, not for kiddies.
Not quite so twee as he became on children's ITV. They're a little bit grimier.
Yeah, and that's the irony, because I only remember the ITV shows, because he was on, again, much like Keith, he was on throughout the entire 80s and into the 90s doing stuff with Emu. Apparently he'd worked with Coralie Scott on Summer Season in Cleethorpes, and I have actually found a bit of something. Apparently they were meant to work together in something a few years earlier, but it says, due to his indisposition, Rod Hull is unable to appear in this concert. And I don't know what it was. Only thing I could find is that he'd recently got divorced. So I don't know if that was it, but that's not for us. That's not for us. That's for the muckraking Panto Poster Podcast to look at, not us.
It kind of is for us, but also we don't want to insult Rod's memory. So let's just have a little pause here and let the listeners think why Rod would have been indisposed after getting divorced. That's enough of that.
So Emu's World became the all-live Pink Windmill show, which was, as it says, a live variety show, which was on, it was like the last thing on a Friday on ITV, sort of 4:20, and it lasted 45, 50 minutes. Programs like it didn't, but it was taking its vibe from Crackerjack, which you mentioned in the Stu Francis episode, which was games and sketches and songs and messing about. And she used to have a bit in it, a grotto-based game show where kids would pick out a cauldron at random and it'd have something in it. And it might be a good prize, it might be a rubbish prize. It might be a radio cassette. It might be some orange peel, and she would try and bid against her. So here, have these prizes instead. And that was a fun, because sometimes children genuinely did go away with a toenail or something. I used to love that. That was the whole thing about the Rod Hull things that people remember now is the dancing kids, the Pink Windmill kids, and it's all the songs, and it's all very, as you say, twee.
This is the weird thing, because I do remember watching Emu in the late 70s and enjoying it as a young child. But then my memory was skewed by the Pink Windmill stuff in the 80s, and you just think back to the awful stage school kids and the tweeness of it all and the repetitiveness of it all. And by the end of the 80s, I'd forgotten just how funny Emu was and what a great character it was. And it was only seeing it, in later years, after you forget the Pink Windmill dancers, etc., you remember Emu going on the Johnny Carson show and attacking Richard Pryor and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a fearlessness to Rod Hull. Until I went back, because I wrote a book about CITV a few years ago where I was like listing shows I liked, and I went back and watched a lot of the live Pink Windmill show, and there's lots of good stuff in there. When it's Rod doing stuff, I mean, there's a bit every week where he's got to dial someone live, picking up a phone while he's got Emu in the other hand doing all the Emu business, attacking children and stuff.
That's it, Emu. You help.
And he, bear in mind he had that one plastic arm as well, which wasn't no help.
Don't spoil it for the kids.
Oh, sorry. But the important thing is that all that was happening, but Grotbags was a little bit of anarchy in there.
Yeah.
I know it sounds wanky to say, but she was just fun. She, like, as you say, called all the kids brats all the time, and she wasn't. She wanted them to fail. It was great.
She was a great cartoon character, wasn't it? I mean, in real life.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a cartoon later, but Grotbags in real life, and Astrios on stage at this panto, was just a living cartoon character that the kids would have adored.
I mean, have you ever seen that episode of Bullseye where she's a guest?
Oh, yeah.
Just as Carol Lee Scott.
Yeah.
Where she's just, you just get the impression it needed some very heavy editing because she's filthy.
Carol Lee Scott.
Outrageous is that? What have you got there? I'm a forgotten woman.
Well, you see, once men see me, they forget me again. So I thought I'd put something so they notice me.
I can't understand people forgetting you.
Neither can I. I have a terrible problem.
And I know you, of course, as a very, very talented cabaret act.
Yes, I still do cabaret, yes, up and down the country, yeah.
Still doing that, because it's a great act, I know. If you
Have
ever
a lot
get a
of
chance
fun.
to see Carol live, you go and see her, because she's a bit special.
And she's such a firecracker. She's just loving it. You know, she's just having a ball. And after the Emu stuff wrapped up, she got her own series, which I think was a bit more kiddie at that point. I think ITV had kind of moved sort of the age range down for children. But there are outtakes on YouTube, I don't know if you've seen these, where her and the puppeteers are just savage at each other.
I just came to reassure you that if you feel the earth move...
Oh, I felt the earth move when Mickey poked his hammer up my... Yes.
I would have liked to have met her. I think she would have terrified me, but I think she. I don't know if she ever got the props that she deserved, really, as an actor, as a comedy musician, and all that sort of stuff. You know,
Like you say, she'd been plugging away for years and then had a hit as Grotbags and thought, well, don't drop the hit, as it were. Keep going with that. She didn't try and transition into serious acting or anything like that. She knew where the money was and she stuck with it.
And as it says at the bottom, obviously, the North East Green Panto, which is good, because the two green characters in there, very much contrasting against the others, who, spoilers, I have much less to say about.
Yeah, this is a problem, isn't it?
Well, it isn't. I think this is a good poster simply because of the variety on here. But, I mean, let's go to Eithne Browne next.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
I meant to look it up, but I did wonder if it was like, an Irish name like Eithne or something like that. I didn't know.
I don't think it's pronounced Eithne, but I could be wrong.
No.
I like the fact that apparently the programme is called Brooksides.
Brooksides, yes.
Backsides, Eithne Browne, who is dressed as Sylvester McCoy's doctor there.
Yeah.
But also, again, you know how in the other episode I said this looks like Kenneth Connor should be made into a tortoise? They've all got those this period. They've all got those, like, you should be sticking something to these. Cartoon bodies on them or something. It's weird.
Yeah. Let's just take a pause whilst we put cartoon bodies on them all. Lovely stuff. Carry on.
But yeah, I'd never watched Brookside. Never seen it. But that's what she was most famous for. 87 to 93 as Chrissy Rogers, apparently.
Yeah. I watched Brookside in the later years. Never watched it then, so I don't really know who she is. I tried to remember who she was by looking at all her credits, but
no. I looked up a few interviews with her, and she said that basically it was not the most exciting role, a mother of three who worked in an estate agent's, and nothing exciting ever happened to her. But her children had problems. And apparently when the axe came, she was not sorry to move on, as her character had changed. But admits she would have liked another 6 months to help pay for the house, which she had to sell in the end.
Showbiz there, showbiz.
Well, yeah, it's because she doesn't seem to have had another big role. She's appeared in a bunch of stuff, but that was basically her thing. And yeah, I really couldn't find very much about her, but she's definitely cropped up in a few... There's a Brookside podcast, which...
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I was going to say, what a niche subject, but then I remembered where I am right now and what I'm doing. She seems to have cropped up in a few of those.
We should launch our own Brookside podcast, Brooksplaining, where we watch every single episode of Brookside and deep dive into it. 6 hours for every episode.
I'm sorry, I have to leave. My planet needs me.
Again, I couldn't really find much about it, and I got sidetracked in the Brookside credit, where I was fascinated by the fact the character Katie Rogers, her on-screen daughter, played by Diane Burke, was in Brookside for 14 years, from 89 to 2003, but this Diane Burke never did a single thing other than that. Nothing before it, nothing after it. That was it. 14 years in Brookside and nothing else.
Like when we were talking about Adam Woodyard in a previous episode, it must be very easy to get into that groove and just continue taking that paycheck, regular money, even if you don't actually have anything to do. I don't know. Don't know. But it's like we talk about sitcom on our other podcast a lot, and it's like we know that's a 4-season thing. That's going to come to an end. Those people who spent like practically every day together for 4 years are going to just go off, and whether they spoke to each other again, we don't know. So it must be that kind of thing, that kind of feel. It's just like gang mentality, maybe.
It's a job, isn't it? It's a job.
It's a job more than this is. Who knows? I tell you what else is a job.
Yes.
Hit recording star. Now, you could call you that. I could call you that.
You could call me that, yeah. I never got any panto bookings.
No. That's where I wouldn't have thought that Berri was that kind of act. But apparently, here we go. Rebecca Slight, born in York in 1974. An English singer best known for her single The Sunshine After the Rain, which... it's pretty good. Pretty good pop song.
I remember it coming out the first time as by New Atlantic featuring Euphoria featuring Berri or whatever it was. It was a stupid, complicated title.
It only got to 26 that time.
I wanna see the sunshine after the rain. I wanna see bluebirds flying over the mountains again. Oh, where is the silver lining shining at the rainbow's end? I wanna see the...
I loved it the first time round. I loved it the second time round. But that was, at this point in time, 3 long years ago.
Well, I say the reissue in August 95, just credited to Berri, with help a lot of radio play, got to number 4 in the UK, and apparently it was also a hit in Australia and on the Hot European 100 charts sale. Good. I have to read these words out because there's not really a lot to say.
There isn't. I was hoping that something would have cropped up from her post-pop years, that she'd, I don't know, done a cameo role in a film or something like that. But there's nothing.
But she had a follow-up hit, so she's not a one-hit wonder. I mean, technically,
isn't she?
Sunshine After Rain was a hit twice. Yeah. But Shine Like a Star came out after that, was got to number 20. And she brought out an album, and it seems like not much happened, but I looked her up, and apparently she's been working with the artist Bright Light, and she's made a comeback in the last 18 months with loads of new songs.
I noticed that.
So you should do one. You should do her a hit album.
Oh, all right, if she wants. I didn't particularly like the new songs she'd done, but I like the fact that Bright Light, who sort of is couched in this 90s nostalgia vibe, as is sort of revitalising a lot of these people with his popularity. I like that.
Yeah. And so that she's on the comeback trail, and apparently she was in Bradford nearby me just the other month on the Originals live tour.
Okay.
Which featured...
who else?
Anita from 2 Unlimited.
Oh, lovely Anita from 2 Unlimited.
Tanya Evans from Culture Beat.
Okay.
Kelly O from Capella.
Right.
And SL2 with Slipmat, tying the night together with the sounds of the rave era.
That's right up my Strasse.
Well, it doesn't look like Berri was on the full tour, but it's like I found like a story about it coming up because she was born in York, so it was like, West Yorkshire kind of tie-in sort of thing. She's from Yorkshire. Let's do a little article about her. I'm not sure about Tanya Evans and Kelly O. I assume they were on the actual records because obviously there was a lot of that business back then, wasn't there? Was like,
oh yeah,
who was stood there miming the record was not necessarily the person who sang it.
Capella went through a number of singers. Kelly O was definitely one of them, especially in the main hit years. Tanya Evans definitely was the one on Mr. Vane.
But again, that's kind of interesting. Just coming back from there, we are looking at this as a nostalgia thing. This is someone in 1998 who was 3 years out from their hit and is now 31 years on from that. Sort of, do you remember when I had that hit? There's not quite the same through line as there is with an 80s festival, is there? It's like they tend to be quite... These are a lot of people who were all pop stars, but the 90s was such a disparate time for various styles. Again, we look at the design of this poster. I mean... They've just slapped Wolf clip art next to her.
Who's playing? Oh, we do know who's playing the Wolf. It's Andrew Vincent, but we couldn't find anything about him, could we?
Not really, no. We did find a little bit about Richard Westcott, who was a Banbury-based popular panto dame.
Right.
Who must have been popular in that area, as I found him opening a fete in 1990. And in an interview with the Banbury Guardian in December 1994, it says... It is a long way from the time Richard worked in the offices of Banbury's former automotive products plant in Southam Road, a site now occupied by Tesco.
Oh.
At the age of 50, I was offered voluntary redundancy, and that was a kick up the backside I needed. I don't know how old he was then. I don't know if he's still around now, but he seems to have been in lots of stuff. He's a part of the Banbury Cross Players with his partner Anne. And I found him as late as 2007 in Torquay on the Panto archive. But just... seems to be one of those people who does this sort of thing both professionally and presumably very well.
When I searched for him, I found him at umpteen Women's Institute nights doing his talk, Trials, Tribulations, Fun and Frocks of Life.
Can you say that?
Apparently you can.
Well, that's all right.
But it's not blue because this presentation is eminently suitable for groups or club meetings where ladies are present.
I mean...
Richard has been performing it for over 20 years, such groups as WI, TWG, U3A, ARP 050, Rotary Club Ladies Nights, etc., etc.
KLF, ELO, OMD.
U4ER, featuring Berri.
Is it suitable for green? Because again, it's a green. It's not blue. It's green. We're talking about.
Very good. Good.
So hopefully, it's suitable for green. A bit of green in there.
Green. Oh, I love a bit of green.
Finally, we come to the sensational magic of Sapphire. And when we get into this side of the poster, it's like there's not a lot usually. And it's like when was it Spencer and Lee we were trying to find? It was like, good luck. But no, there's a lot about... So they've got a Wikipedia page. They apparently are a big deal. Very respected in the biz. Apparently, an illusion act based in North Wales, which consisted of Stuart and Libby Loughland. Stuart, you can see in the poster, as the Dizzy Wizard there.
Yeah.
And Stuart's ex-wife Jane passed away before Libby, and who's joined the act now. And yet, large-scale magic and stage illusions. Let me tell you some of the programmes I've been on, John.
Please tell me, I'm interested.
Pebble Mill.
Oh.
Pyjama Party.
With Claudia Winkleman?
Yes, and Katie Puckrick.
Oh, yeah.
On the Road with Gaz Top.
Non-stop.
The Quest.
Huh?
Not sure. The Sooty Show.
Ah.
Top Banana. And Granada Tonight's Christmas Special, where they worked with Noddy Holder and magically produced Warrior, star of hit TV show Gladiators.
Well.
Yes.
Produced him from what?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if they gave birth to him. It sounds troubling, doesn't it? The lots of TV, lots of work. Apparently appeared with the Chuckle Brothers on a 14 UK theatre tour and built a giant UV puppet act called the Magic Light Puppets. Apparently they are big biz. When, if you know your stuff and you want a large-scale illusion.
I did find out they were in Rent-A-Ghost, the musical, with Joe Pasquale providing the voice of Ed the Head and the introduction. Stuart and Jane from Sapphire were part of the cast and performed tricks, and their puppets sang some of the songs and took part in the haunting scene.
I mean, you're missing something important out there.
What?
Joe Pasquale wrote it. as well, because he bought the rights to Rent a Ghost, I seem to recall. And there was like lots
Now,
of...
did we cover this previously? Or have we just discussed it in the pub?
I think we just talked about it in the pub, to be honest. I don't know if we ever got it as far as it...
Real life and this podcast merged, and I can't remember what happened where.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he still has the rights, but there was certainly a lot of... They were always talking they were going to make it into a film, weren't they? They were always going to do Rent a Ghost, the film, and it was going to be rapist Russell Brand as Timothy Claypole and stuff like that. But it's never happened. I don't know. He's still good. I think he's got potential.
I noticed
as a thing.
that Stuart Laughlin was the illusions and magic consultant on that recent Saran Jones thing, Frauds, that was on ITV about a heist in, was it Ibiza or Spain or something? It was quite good. It was quite good. But he was,
I don't know. I don't watch things like that.
He's still doing these sort of the big TV things, doing behind the scenes work.
Yeah. They've got a YouTube channel with lots of their stuff on it, and they've been all over. So again, it's just kind of like, when you get to the bottom, you're like, I'm not going to find much about these. But did. It's quite good. I mean, I didn't find much about Andrew Vincent and Andrew Holt.
No.
Because I did find some stuff, but I don't know if it's the right ones.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you about erroneous Andrew Vincent. That would be a waste of all of our times, ladies and gentlemen.
But if inexplicably Andrews, Vincent and Holt are listening to this, please get in touch and we'll do a mini episode on your work.
Yes, the Andrews brothers. That's what we call them.
Did you find anything about the Amanda Mcglin dancers?
Well, I found a Facebook group, but it was private. You had to ask to join, and I'm like, I'm not. There are certain steps it feels like we shouldn't be taking, especially sort of some of the posters we look at, like everyone on him's dead, obviously. Yeah. In this one, only Keith and Carol. Is anyone? No one's really taken on, Toby Hull took on Emu and stuff. There's not a second wave of Orville and Cuddles, is there?
No, it's officially been retired. I don't think Keith had his kids aren't that interested. His daughter's a good singer, isn't she, Kitty Harris? She's a good showbiz theatrical singer, but not a ventriloquist. Amanda Mcglin, though, I did find her Twitter page, Amanda M. Mcglin.
Oh.
Her latest tweet was on Boxing Day last year. Says, absolutely sick of this AI shit on here. Why doesn't Elon Musk stop it? He supposedly fights for the truth. I thought that's an interesting point. I'll have a scroll back.
No, that's fair, yeah.
I'll have a scroll back through her timeline, see what her likes and dislikes are. Her likes are flags, Easter eggs with Easter written on them, and her dislikes are Sadiq Khan, Muslims, and Japanese people on Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, no. Oh,
so that's Amanda Mcglin.
Is there any possibility that this is a different one?
It's the same one.
Oh, bloody hell, we're going to get done.
I did do my due diligence and checked, because I looked on the LinkedIn pictures.
What, you typed in Amanda Mcglin plus foreigners
Amanda Mcglin
plus opinion.
Amanda Mcglin on LinkedIn is the same picture as on Twitter, and on LinkedIn she says choreographer for Duggie Chapman. So unless Duggie Chapman only employed people called Amanda Mcglin and they're all different. She's the same one.
To be fair, it would save money on the posters replacing it every year.
It would.
You just keep different people with the same name, you know. Because again, like, you could have been in one, and then another year it could have been the wrong John Matthews from Undercover.
And then it could have been the lead singer of The High the following year.
Oh, you know what? You are very much the top of my personal John Matthews list. You are number one.
Thank you. And I've got to say, you've always been my second favourite Ben Berker.
I'm just happy to place anyway, to be honest with you. I'm just happy to be in the running.
It's strong competition.
It is. And thankfully, there is no competition for Pantosplaining because we are the defined masters.
Are we?
Is that a phrase?
It is not.
Well, we've done 7 now. So surely that is 7 more than anyone else has done.
I'm proud.
And maybe with reason. I don't know. It does seem to be growing each week.
Pardon?
Not penis, pantomime.
I'm sorry. I'm doing pantomime.
Thank you so much to all the people who've joined us, who seem to be getting new viewers every single month. It's really good to have you on board. The old Pantosplaining Sharaback. Well, what would you have said?
I'd have said cheers, and then I'd have stopped it and gone and put the kettle on.
Driving over a bridge that doesn't exist and going into some big netting. Thank you so much for joining us on another Pantosplaining. Tremendous fun.
Marvellous.
Good humour and banter all the way here at this House of Splain with me, Ben Baker.
And me, John Matthews. Not that one or that one.
But that one.
See you next month.
When you wake up, we're here.
You what?